Yo, Adam Saxon with Guy in a Cube, and in this video, I'm going to share with you some nuggets. I love nuggets of on-object editing. There were some comments in the last couple of videos we've done where, folks didn't necessarily, they had some opinions. And there was a lot of good feedback as well. The December 2023 update for Power BI Desktop incorporated some of that feedback, and I'm actually really surprised what they did here. We'll go through a bunch of these nuggets. I've got a handful of them for you. I think 9 in total. And stick around for the last one because that specifically came out in the December 2023 build that I think you may like, and I would absolutely love your feedback. Post them down in the comments below. Let us know what you think. With all that done, we like to do it here on Guy in a Cube. Let's do what? Let's head over to my machine. So if you're not familiar with on-object editing and you haven't seen the other videos that I've done, this is a preview feature. So you would have to go to settings and then come to preview features and make sure that on-object editing is selected. You may have to restart Power BI Desktop, but make sure that's done if you want to play around with these features. All right, so the first item here, creating a visual. So we can select items up here. We can add a visual, clicking new visual. But what we can do also, I'm going to go to a new page. We can just right click on the canvas and say add visual. It'll add the visual where you are. So let's test that theory. I'm going to do it down here. Right click, add the visual. Bam, visual's down there, right where my mouse was. So that's pretty cool. You can just add these to get started and going. The next item we're going to look at is how to actually change the visual type. So when we've got the visual selected here, we can change this to a table. We can change it to a bar chart. We can change it to a line chart. And let me add some data in here. So we're looking at something familiar here. So I can change this right from here. So I can go to table, I can go to line chart, everything's great. You can also change it up here though. So we could change it to my favorite custom visual ever, the aquarium visual. And we got little fishies, or we can go back to a line chart. You've got different options of where you can go do things depending on, where your mouse is and what's available on the screen. You've just got the ribbon bar right there for you. This next one blew Patrick's in my mind when we saw this for the first time. When we've got the given menu here, I can go ahead and I can expand it out. I can resize it if I need to, but this was actually done based on some feedback too, where folks were like, oh, I can't see everything that's there from a name perspective. So now you can actually go and drag this out. This also works for submenus that you may have. Add data. I can come in here and I can expand this as well. And if we go back in, it retains that information. So it'll know like what you set it to. I love it. This next item actually came up in a discussion when I was talking with Rosie. And so this is the concept of where you can just right click on items. And what's funny about this is right after she told me about that, not 30 minutes later, I had a discussion with someone on my team where they asked me the same, like, where did this item go? I can't find it anymore with on-object editing. Right click. Let me show you. Let's go open up the build menu and we can right click on things. So I've got an actual defined hierarchy, but if you're using the default auto date piece, you could right click on this and change it back to just the date. Also, if we come down to sales amount, we can come down and we can say show value as % of grand total or no calculation at all. This is a predefined measure. So let's go and actually add a field in here. We'll add freight. So this is a regular field and you can see the default summarization for this. It went to count. So I can right click on this and I can change the default summarization to sum instead. Play around with these items. Right click on items. You never know what's hidden under there that you can go and adjust. So if you think something's missing, try right clicking on it and see if it's there. There's a lot of those out there. All right, let's talk about analytic items. So we've been looking at the build menu, but when it comes to analytics, if I select this add or remove visual elements, you'll see other options that are here that you can quickly add. So we can add markers, we can add data labels, but you'll also see some of the things that were there previously on the analytics pane. So if I want to add forecasting, I can go ahead and do that right here. I can add a trend line. Keep in mind though, that it depends on the visual that you have selected as well as the fields that are selected as well. And so you may or may not see those options available. Forecasting, I know, is a big one that comes up a lot where if you don't meet the limitations of that given feature, you won't see that option. Check out the documentation for all the limitations. All right, let's talk about the format pane and the different ways we can get to this. So one thing you'll notice is I'm not showing the format pane here, but what I can do is I can just right click on the visual and I could say format, and it's going to bring me into the format pane. The other thing that's nice is it will actually change context in the format menu as I select items. So if I select the title, it's going to bring me down to the title. If I select the line, it brings me down to the line. If I select the given items underneath, it will actually show me those options as well. Another option you have here is just double click the visual, right? Bam. And there's the format pane. But you can also select it from the pane switcher as well. If you wanted to get to that, if you were on a blank page, you can just right click on the canvas and say format canvas, and it'll bring you right there. It's also taking you right to the background because you were in the background when you selected that. So again, it's context sensitive and it'll jump around to try and get you quickly to the item that you want to edit from a format perspective. Let's go look at an item that I actually gave some feedback on. I mentioned this, I think, in a live stream. When it comes to how do we collapse or hide and show the actual panes in the pane switcher. If you've gone in and I've selected all of the items that are there, one thing you can do is if I go to data and I can switch around to the different panes, but you only have that one pane that's available to you. One thing you may have noticed already is that there used to be an X here where I closed the pane and then it actually closed it from the pane switcher as well. I didn't like that. And I gave that feedback. I would think that it would just collapse it and keep that because I want to go back to it. I just want to hide it for right now. And there were ways to do that. So you could go into the ellipsis and you could do collapse or close. The default was close with the X, but you could also choose collapse. But that was some extra clicks for me. So they've updated this to be this arrow. So it goes and collapses by default. It doesn't close by default. And so I can just do that and it stays on the pane switcher and Adam is a happy man. I love it. Now, one thing I can do here is if I hold down Control and I click, it'll add the pane next to it. The other thing I can do here is I can go back through and I'm still holding Control and I can go through and I can remove those panes as well. Now for the last item, this one I hope you like. They've added this option of what they're calling back to classic. So a lot of the feedback around on-object editing was there were folks that preferred the way that it was before and they didn't want to use on-object editing, which was fair feedback. That's something they were used to. And so this option gives you the ability to try and get back to that experience. Again, giving you options on how you want to work with your visuals. So after you've updated to the December 2023 Power BI desktop, if you were using on-object editor before, the first time you open up Power BI desktop, you will get presented with a dialog that gives you the option to say, hey, keep using the panes that were available, or giving you the option to switch back to classic. So the experience I've been showing you is the new setup with on-object editing. And so if we go to settings, there's a couple of different options. So first off, you've got visual options up here, right? So you can suggest a visual type by default. You can uncheck that so it doesn't suggest a visual type and you're specific in the visuals you want. You can also choose in the build a visual menu, always show all of the visualization types. And so what this item does is by default, this is collapsed. And so if you check that option, all that means is this will just be expanded by default. So again, getting back to that classic style. So that's one option you can do. Then we've also got some pane switcher options down below. So always show the pane switcher. If you didn't have any of the items selected here from the plus menu and you open Power BI desktop, you just wouldn't see this bar at all. Always show the build a visual menu in the pane switcher. This was something I covered in a previous video, so definitely go check that out. And then this last option is this back to classic option where it says always open a new pane. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and we're going to hit OK. And then I'm going to restart Power BI desktop. So we've come back up. You can see I've got the data tab by default. I didn't check the build a visual move over to the pane. And so I still have build a visual here. So for the format pane, let's click on format. And now it's doing side by side. It's not doing the default, which was a single pane and it swaps them out. But you want this build a visual there too, right? To really get back to classic. So let's go back to my settings and I'm going to say always show. You can do it here, or if I go to the view tab and go to the pane switcher, I can say move build a visual back. And with the build item back in, we can see different options here. So we can actually get back to, we've got the visual here and then we've got our data and we can drag and drop them in. And when you save this, close it, reopen it, it's going to remember those settings for you. You can play around with it and see what you like better and adjust those items. And let us know in the comments if there are other things that you're thinking that maybe is missing or changed. The team is always looking for feedback. One thing I want to do, I'm going to harness my inner Patrick here. If you weren't using the on-object editing experience, or you did use it initially way back when, but you turned it off because you didn't like it, I'm going to challenge you to enable it. Give it a try. Don't give me a fast no. Give me a slow yes. Give it some time, right? I know that there's always opportunities to change just how the experience works overall, but we're focusing on the previous experience based to the new experience in on-object editing. And if you want to learn more about on-object editing, above my head, there's going to be a playlist for on-object editing where you can go through and look at the different items. I've done a couple different videos, where's the drill through, where are all these items? So go check that out as well. Make sure you're up to speed on all the latest and greatest. Thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next video.